welcome back to this video. I am the Darklight Emissary, and today's video is going to be talking a bit about the Lion returning to Warhammer 40k, the Primarch of the Dark Angels. So this won't exactly be a very long video, I don't think. Just kind of starting it off, I'm just going to kind of give my thoughts on it. There isn't really too much information yet to even really talk too much on the subject. However, the event itself is enough, of course, to be talking a bit about, and I do think we have a couple of awesome things to speculate on, and also some knowledge we have now that we didn't previously have about Primarchs in general, just by this event happening the way it did. So, one of the biggest things that this kind of gives to us as information, without really coming out and just saying it, is a bit about Primarch Biology. I mean, one of the things that was speculated and discussed between characters in the 30k Great Crusade era was whether or not Space Marines could age or die of age, let alone Primarchs. What would happen with them in aging? And we get to see a bit of that with the Lion here. He apparently was sleeping in the rock, as we know, for the last 10,000 years roughly. And so we get to see what time does to the body of a Primarch. Robout Guilliman doesn't really count here because he was in a stasis field for his thousands of year nap, whereas the Lion was not in any sort of stasis that we know of and was simply kept in an inaccessible chamber within the rock, tended to by the Watchers in the dark. And so the Lion is visibly older in the artwork we see of him so far. I mean, not like a ton older looking. Part of, I think, the age look for him is partially how they've changed his facial hair. He has a beard now, and it's kind of like this older style, almost like Civil War Colonel era beard kind of look to him. And that kind of makes him look older just on its own. Who knows exactly what the changes are? I don't know if we're going to get this fleshed out in the books or not. Like, if, 10,000 years worth of aging has changed his, how he thinks at all, or how different is he going to be from his 30k era self. We don't know much about that yet. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see if they do any of that with him. If we're going to see, is the Lion at all a bit unhinged from, sleeping that long in that way? Is he going to have any sort of slowdown, even as a Primarch, due to 10,000 years worth of aging on his body? We're going to have to see. If anything, from what we can see from some of the artwork, it doesn't look like he's really slowed down much at all. If anything, it does seem to show that Primarchs, if they do age, they age extremely slowly. I mean, I would say that the Lion looked, in his 30s, up to 40 max years old, back during the Heresy era, and that was after he was only, a couple hundred years old. And, aging 10,000 years later, he looks like maybe he's in his 50s or 60s now. So, I'm not going to do the math here because I'm not really a math person, but that doesn't seem like that many years worth of aging for 10,000 years worth of even just sleeping those years away. So, it's kind of interesting to see this, see them take this approach with it. And so we just get that bit of glimpse into, how long would a Primarch that hasn't been turned into a demon prince or otherwise altered by some esoteric item changed over that period of time. Now, this all being said, I guess we don't really know too much about what the chamber was like that he slept in for that long, like what the Watchers in the Dark did to tend to him in his, coma-like state. And we're going to have to see what the Lion says about those years, if he was dreaming, if he was, living a different life in his dreams, or being taught about secrets of the warp, and he's going to come out and go swinging against demons. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with him yet. So my speculation is going to be that, he's going to, I think he's going to be happy to see Robout, and I think Robout's going to be happy to have him back to help with, the fighting. The Lion's going to lead from the front, I believe, and, reunite the Dark Angels probably into something resembling more of a legion again. I don't think the Lion really ever cared much for the Codex Astartes, and so with everything kind of the way they are right now, I'm pretty sure the Lion is going to probably reunite the Dark Angels. In a upcoming book with the Lion coming back out, it does mention that, the Lion is going to possibly work to bring the Fallen back into the fold and somehow reunite the Dark Angels completely, possibly settle old scores. All that kind of stuff is going to happen. I think just for drama's sake, we will see a bit of friction between Robout and the Lion, because they are pretty different individuals personality-wise, and if you're at all familiar with them, when they were working together during the Unremembered Empire book in the Heresy era, they clashed. They weren't exactly on the best of terms with each other when they left each other either there, but they both were two of the legions that did, go to Terra around the same time and helped to free Terra from the traitors. So, they at least were working together at that point, and the Lion did seem to at least recognize Robout as, being one of the main leaders for the Imperium before the Lion went and got in trouble with Luther back on Caliban. So, we're going to see, the Lion answer the Luther question, and maybe the Lion has an answer for us for Lord Cypher as well. We've got, Cypher still running around out there, having last been seen helping Robout Guilliman, and then getting captured by the Imperium, but then, getting out like Cypher does out of that imprisonment. So that's probably one of the most interesting things to me that I want to see the Lion really touch on is Cypher and what he's up to. See if the Lion knows and will give us any revelations there. And then it looks like, due to some of the artwork that's been released, that the Lion is going to have a showdown with Agron, who is the Demon Prince of the World Eaters. And so, we're looking at Agron fighting the Lion, and a lot of the speculation on the subreddit for 40k lore and some other groups seem to be hoping that the Lion actually gets defeated by Agron, or at least that the battle will be somewhat even. They don't want a clean wipe from the Lion just because he's the newest Primarch back as a loyalist, and I don't think people want Agron just to, defeat the Lion either. I'm sure we're going to have a battle that's going to be awesome when it's put down to paper, and whatever does happen, I think, it's going to leave both of them still alive and ready to fight each other again in the future, maybe establish some new rivalry between the two, because as far as I know, from anything I can recall reading in the past 18 years, I don't remember a time that the Lion and Agron really interacted. So I don't know how well they even really knew each other or even worked together during the Heresy and Great Crusade era. So I don't even know. It's going to be interesting to see what they say to each other and possibly talk about a past that they shared that we have not really been privy to until this moment in time. But perhaps there is no history there, and it's just going to be a case of Agron is active, the Lion is in the area, he's going to try to fight his former brother, regardless of any history they do have or don't have. It'll also be interesting to see if the Lion taps into some old repositories of Dark Age of technology weaponry that the Dark Angels were given by the Emperor. It'll be interesting to see if he does that, as well as, possibly revealing any other secrets that he, had from back then with the Emperor that he's going to do now. One of the other interesting aspects of the Lion being back is he is also using, seemingly, the Emperor's personal shield as an artifact, just like Robout Guilliman is using the Emperor's sword. So you have a cool little interesting metaphor there. You got a sword and shield metaphor, I guess, with Robout being the sword. And I mean, if you look at it, though, really it would be more like Robout as the shield and the Lion as the sword, at least in terms of their literal, what they're kind of known for. The Lion is probably up there at the top of combatants for Primarchs, along with like Sanguinius, and I don't even know who else to put up there off the top of my head just thinking about it, but the Lion is not someone you want to face down in a duel, that's for sure. Not as a Primarch, not as anything. And the Lion, spent his childhood fighting, warp mutated monsters, animals, and stuff in the Caliban forests. He's kind of considered knightly and kind of has a, aloof feel about him a lot of the time, because he's kind of known for being kind of, distant and quiet. but, you know, don't take him wrong. The lion is an absolute savage when it comes to fighting. You know, if he doesn't need to use poise and doesn't need to be refined in his fighting, he will absolutely brawl with you, you know, as shown by when he did that exact thing with Lem and Russ when they had their conflict back during the Great Crusade. And I believe the lion, you know, knocked Lem and Russ completely out cold. So, you know, the lion is a very powerful and impressive character in combat. I mean, there's a possibility I would put Jagate Khan up there too. You know, if I was to say for loyalists, top combatants, top, you know, most powerful warriors, you know, known as warriors, I'd say probably the lion, Sanguinius, and Jagate Khan. Although Sanguinius up there at the top, but you know, Sanguinius is not coming back. He's not around. So you've got the lion back, and if they ever bring back Jagate as well, then the Imperium will have a couple of very powerful warriors back in their, you know, back in their repository to use here. With Robout able to focus more and more on his administrative abilities. Even though Robout can hold his own in combat, he is not a warrior first. He is more of a administrator and able to, you know, keep the organs of government moving forward for the Imperium in a much more efficient way than it ever did before, you know, he came back. So anyway, it'll be very interesting to read, you know, the new book that comes out for the Lion and any other new lore that will come out for him. I'm not really into the tabletop, but the tabletop model that has come out for the Lion does look super cool. I'm halfway tempted to get it just because I really do like the Lion's aesthetic. I like his armor style, you know, like this, you know, half futuristic, but also not futuristic at all knight, you know, like with kind of this esoteric power armor, but also it looks kind of ancient and old and intimidating and powerful. Like the lion has a very cool design scheme to him, and so it'll be very interesting to see what we get out of this. You know, a lot of people do not like that the Primarchs are coming back into 40k, and I can understand that a bit. There is a bit of diminishing of the size if we keep focusing on the Primarchs for the size of the universe and setting, but there's still going to be plenty of books that come out without either Primarch in them, which I think helps inject that, you know, bigger universe feel into it when, you know, the Primarchs are not in every single book. You know, they won't ever be, and they shouldn't be. But I tend to like them, and I like, you know, I would like to see them, you know, come back after being gone so long, and I want to see, one of the biggest things I want to see with the Lion is what he thinks of, like, the worship of the Emperor. If he's going to be a lot more violent and angry about that than Robout was. You know, Robout definitely disdains the, you know, the church that worships the Emperor. You know, the cult of the Emperor. He does not like them, and I imagine the Lion will have even less patience for them. He'll probably even threaten them, I'd say. Some people think that maybe the Lion might try to take over the Inquisition to some degree. I don't think that will happen, but I would welcome that being a thing that happens, only because it'd be very interesting to see the Lion, you know, play like a Shadow War Cloak and Dagger game against the Inquisitors that are against him, and then turning, you know, some Inquisitors for him at the same time. I think that'd be kind of interesting for him to do, but really that's just kind of baseless speculation that I've seen some people give in some of the groups, that it's just a hopeful thing, you know. There's no precedent yet for that to happen, but it would be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to have the Lion be interested in within 40k. What are his goals? What is he going to go after? You know, obviously he fights Agron, but we don't know what sets that up yet. If he decides he wants to go hunt Agron, or if Agron is in his path, we don't know yet. And we don't know how he's going to react to the wider Imperium yet. How he's going to react to the Emperor still being on the throne after so many years. How he's going to react to the Fallen and his chapter constantly hunting down the Fallen. You know, the Lion is going to put an end probably to, you know, that hunting of these fallen brethren, many of which are not worshippers of chaos to any degree. They're followers of the order as it was type of thing, and, you know, and kind of fell in with Luther as a wrong choice sort of situation. So it'll be interesting to see how the Lion resolves that. If he's going to actually be kind of angry with the Dark Angels for how they've done that and completely change on their head what they're doing, or is he going to side with them and hunt the Fallen down to extinction? We don't know. But either way, I am here for it. You know, much of Warhammer 40k lore and story, I kind of like just to ride out and kind of accept it for what it is. You know, it doesn't mean that I like every decision that the writers make or that every bit of lore is the best lore or something like that. But, you know, I tend to take all of it as a whole, and I like to see any progress in it. You know, one thing I don't like to see in lore for something is stagnation and nothing being done, you know, with a setting as a whole progression. You know, like, it'd be kind of lame if we were just stuck still with the 13th Black Crusade and nothing had happened at all, ever. You know, we were still there, just kind of spinning around in circles and yelling about there's only war, you know, and this group is clashing with this group now. You know, there's no bigger picture to any of that. Despite some people finding comfort in the, you know, same, I guess, realm of things, I'm kind of interested in seeing how they're pushing, you know, the modern version of 40k forward, and I am very much interested in, you know, seeing what they do with another powerful son of the Emperor back in the game. And people are already speculating what comes after the Lion, who's coming up next, and a lot of people seem to think it's going to be Russ that will come third out of the remaining loyalists that we know are still alive. I would not prefer that. I would prefer to see Jagate Khan back before Russ, but there's no, of course, rumblings for any of that right now. You know, the Lion is in the spotlight right now, and so I've only just heard people seemingly want Russ more than Jagatai or Korax or Dorne to come back. But I'm still holding out a little bit of hope that in the Bequin trilogy that we're getting from Dan Abnett, that we might get some kind of hint about Dorne. Just because Dorne was so close to Valdor compared to any of the other Primarchs. He worked the closest with him. If Valdor is in that third book, maybe we'll get some info on Dorne. But anyway, I digress. This video is not on Dorne or that speculation. I've already done that. There's a previous video if you want to check that out regarding speculation for Valdor and that third book. But anyway, that's really it for this. So as always, please leave a like and a comment if you want to discuss this with me. I love to discuss with you in the comments anything regarding the lore. If you have a video request for any kind of lore discussion, please let me know what that is in the comments. And again, I appreciate all your time and checking out these videos and subscribing. If you have not subscribed yet, I hope you do this time. And if not, then I hope that you continue coming back. And if you think I've earned your subscription, then I would love to appreciate you for that. But I already appreciate you for the time you spend here anyway. That means a lot, regardless. So as always, bring your light into the dark places. I will see you in the next video. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and we will talk soon. Thank you very much. You